Hi everyone! The story I'm going to read to you is called Thank You Omu and it's written by Oji Mora. The pictures in this book are very, very nice and they're very interesting, so take a look at them while I'm reading the story. Let's start. Thank You Omu. On the corner of First Street and Long Street, on the very top floor, Omu was cooking a thick red stew in a big fat pot for a nice evening meal. She seasoned and stirred it and took a small taste. "Oh, what a delicious stew," Omu said. "Tonight's dinner will surely be the best I have ever had." You see how the picture is so pretty? It's very, very nice. It's a beautiful drawing. And it looks very textured. With that, Omu put down her spoon and went to read a book before supper. As the thick red stew simmered on the stove, its scrumptious scent wafted out the window and out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block until you heard a knock. Someone was at the door. When Omu opened it, she saw. What do you think she saw? Was it the cat? The neighbor's dog? Who do you think knocked on the door? A little boy. "Little boy," Omu explained, "what brings you to my home?" "I was playing with my race car down the hall when I smelled the most delicious smell," the little boy replied. "What is it?" "Thick red stew." "Mmm, stew," he sighed. "That sure sounds yummy." What do you think Omu is going to do now? Will she send the boy away? Omu thought for a moment. She was saving her stew for dinner, but she had made quite a bit. It would not hurt to share. "Would you like some?" she said. The little boy nodded, and so Omu spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for a nice evening meal. "Thank you, Omu," the little boy said, and went on his way. So there he goes, off with some delicious stew that Omu made. Keep a look at those pictures too. With that, Omu closed the door and went back to her book. As she read, her thick red stew, scrumptious scent, wafted out the window and out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block until, what do you think happened next? And she heard, uh-oh, someone was at the door. When Omu opened the door, this time she saw, who do you think she saw now? Is it her neighbor? Is it the baker? A police officer. "Ms. Police Officer," Omu explained, "what brings you to my home?" "I was on duty down the street until I smelled the most delicious smell," Miss Police Officer replied. "What is it?" "Thick red stew." "Ah, stew," she said, and her mouth watered. "That sounds mighty tasty." What do you think Ms. Police Officer is going to ask Omu? Omu thought for a moment. There was still enough to share. "Would you like some?" The police officer nodded. Once again, Omu spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. "Thank you, Omu," the officer said, and went on her way. So she shared her soup and her stew to two people already who happened to smell something delicious coming from her house. And then, for the second time, Omu closed the door and went back to her book. Sure enough, as she read, her thick red stew's scrumptious scent wafted out the window and out the door and down the hall, toward the street and around the block until... More knocking. Who can this be now? Again, someone was at Omu's door. This time, when she opened it, who do you think she saw? Who do you think it's this time? Is it the police officer? Is it the little boy? Who could it be? A hot dog vendor. Mr. Hot Dog Vendor, Omu explained. What brings you to my home? I was selling my hot dogs down the block when I smelled the most delicious smell, Mr. Hot Dog Vendor replied. What is it? Thick red stew. Ooh, stew. The vendor licked his lips. That sounds quite delectable. What do you think the hot dog vendor is going to ask for now? Do you think Omu's going to share with her dinner? Her thick red stew in her big fat pot? Let's see. So Omu spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. Thank you, Omu, the hot dog vendor said, and went on his way. So she's doing a lot of sharing because everyone appreciates her thick red stew. If you could smell it right now, you would want some too. Throughout the day, people from all across the neighborhood knocked on Omu's door. She fed a shop owner, a cab driver, a doctor, an actor, a lawyer, a dancer, a baker, an artist, a singer, an athlete, a bus driver, a construction worker. Even the mayor stopped by. That's a lot of people that she shared her stew with. She must have had a lot. She made a whole bunch. Would you like to try some stew too if you were in Omu's neighborhood? Soon the sky darkened, the streetlights brightened, and it was finally time for dinner. But when Omu opened her big fat pot of thick red stew for her nice evening meal, oh no, it was empty. What is Omu going to do now? She gave away all of her stew to everyone who came by to her home. Let's see. Omu sniffled. There goes the best dinner I ever had. Sorry and blue, she went and sat at the table with her empty pot until... There's so much knocking. Who would be that? Omu wondered. When she opened her door, she saw... Who do you think she saw? Was it the little boy down the hall? The hot dog vendor? Was it the police officer? She saw the little boy, the police officer, the hot dog vendor, the shop owner, the cab driver, the doctor, the actor, lawyer, the dancer, the baker. Why, everyone she fed today was at her door. I'm sorry, everyone, Omu sighed. My thick red stew is all gone. I have nothing left to share. The little boy tugged at Omu's sleeve. Don't worry, Omu. We are not here to ask. We are here to give. Isn't that kind of everyone to come together and share what they have after what she shared with them? The police officer carried in a fresh salad. The mayor entered with a roast chicken. The baker brought a collection of sweet goodies. Even the little boy presented Omu with something special in a shiny red envelope. What could that be? Everyone who had knocked on Omu's door that day squeezed inside her tiny apartment, and together they ate, danced, and celebrated, while Omu's big fat pot of thick red stew was empty. Her heart was full of happiness and love. And everyone had a great dinner. It was the best she ever had, and she received a beautiful thank you card in that envelope. I hope you enjoyed that story. Thank you, Omu, by Oji Mora. And I hope you enjoyed all those pictures too. They were fantastic.